Hey guys, welcome back to Beardy Lumber. It's another beautiful day. It feels like spring's in the air. We got a big project. You can see it behind me. Give me a minute. We'll be right back. We'll talk about it. Okay guys, we're back. Man, I greatly appreciate you tuning in. Like I say, spring's in the air. It's 75 degrees today. It's beautiful weather. What we got behind us is this big pile of spruce we've been looking at since the hurricane come through here. Good customer of mine. Did a bunch of cleanup up in Biltmore, Asheville area. It's come out of Biltmore Forest. And he hauled it down here to me, and we're gonna turn it into tongue and groove spruce boards. Now, they hauled it down here 16, 17 foot lengths. Some of it's 12 foot, you know. They're just getting it cut to haul. So now, before we start, because once we start, we don't have to stop. Matthew and I are gonna go through this pile with a chainsaw, and we're gonna take these 16 and a half, 17 footers, cut them in half, and we got a pile started. We started without you. Yeah, right here. All these have been cut in half. And then there's 3 little 12 footers there. We're getting started. But that's our goal for this afternoon, is go through here, go ahead and get them all sized up. So once we start sawing, we don't have to do nothing but just keep on getting it. Spruce is a wonderful softwood here in Western North Carolina. I'd rank it quality of kind of like white pine. It's a very soft wood. I don't know of anybody that personally, you could probably use it outside if you wanted to, spruce siding. The issue is going to be the knots over time, might pop out on you. But it makes beautiful interior paneling. I say it's very soft. You can't use it on the floor. Just regular walking on it would ruin it. But for paneling, it'd be gorgeous. It has more of a white hue to it, so it would take a stain very well if you want to stain it. I wouldn't recommend it. Just use it natural like it is. Let it darken a little bit with age. So we're gonna set you up on time lapse because, man, there's a bunch of them in here. But we got to get them dug out and sorted so we can start sawing on them, because there's a couple days of sawing, yeah, to get through this pile. But they'll be, I ballparked about 8,000 feet. I may be a little low, maybe more than that, but we'll find out together. Hang on, we'll be right back. Okay guys, we're gonna stop and take a break here. You seen the time lapse, Matthew moving around, me bucking them up. We decided to make this video all in its own because there's so much of it here. Customer did a pretty good job cutting them at 16.5, 17 feet. I communicated with him, and he definitely does not want 16-foot long tongue and groove. So we're cutting them to 8.5 or 12.5. Now that one there, they cut it perfectly 12.5. We don't have to do anything with it. But you can see our box over here. It's not too bad. We've definitely done worse, but that's where we're trying to, when we build our stacks, we don't want them to look like this, okay? We want them to be as straight as possible, as, you know, within what, 3 inches, 4 inches at the max of every board being the same length. I would prefer them all to be 8.6, but some of these logs are like 16.5, 6, so you're only gonna get 8.3, 8.2, but that's the best we could do. And sometimes you need to calculate this into your bill. Matthew and I are gonna have what, 4 hours in this probably by the time it's done. You know, that's not free labor. You bring me the logs you want them, you know, cut the length at, or you pay me to buck them, and there'll be a charge for bucking all these. You know, I mean, I can't work a half a day or more for nothing. It done burnt 2 or 3 tanks of chainsaw gas, wearing out chain. You know, it's not free labor. So when we start a billing, it'll be right on the top, labor for that. But just bear that in mind. That's the reason we're making a video out of this, is if it's 1 or 2 logs and you kind of square them up a little bit, no big deal. But we're looking at, you know, 8,000-10,000 board feet of logs that all need bucked down to either in half or 12. So it is a time sink. Matthew's got a big pile there. He's got 2 8-foot piles here. Now, this will save us time when we start sawing, because Matthew won't have to be out here bucking, or I won't have to stop sawing to bucking to go to buck logs. But it's got to be done, and we want to do it now because expecting some rain first of the week. If it rains, we'll work inside the building. The tractor's got a canopy on it. He won't melt. But that's why I want to stop talking about it. I think this is going to end up being a video of its own because there's so much of it here. Just be careful with your chainsaw. Unfortunately, right now we're down our big saw by 372 died, and then I was using our 066 and I broke the handle on it yesterday, which it wasn't running real great anyway, so I was getting kind of irritated. I got 395 out, and it hadn't been loved on so long, it's kind of mad at me. So we're down to Matthew's 550 XP and an 029 or that big 3120. But I'm expecting a delivery on something nice here soon. I thought I'd have it this week, but maybe first next week to replace that 372. It was just wore out. It'd cost 3/4 of what it cost to buy a new one to repair that one, because I know the bottom end was out of it. So when you wear them out, they're just wore out. I'll keep it for spare parts, or might sell it to a guy that keeps them for spare parts. He's got a bunch of them, but we'll see. We'll have a video on that when that shows up. So enough talking. Let's get back to work and get these bucked up. We still, what are we, a little better than halfway maybe?
Oh, yeah. We're more than halfway already.
So, okay, let's get to it. Okay guys, we're gonna stop here and talk just a second. This is part of what we're doing, high grading. we're looking for anything that's got defects. Now this log is a good 12'4". It would have been right to cut just like it was, but we got all this defect, so might as well get rid of it now instead of later. Other things I'm looking for, especially on the butt cut, if maybe the saw guy didn't get it cut through and it shattered part of the butt, might as well go ahead and cut that off now, because it's, you know, not going to yield good lumber with a crack right through the middle of it. So we're not just willy-nilly cutting, we're thinking about it. I call it high grading. We're trying to get the best out of the logs that are laying here. I haven't seen too many. There's one more back there I can see that's got a little rod in it. We'll be chopping the end off. It looks like it's 16, so it'll probably go to 12. This one was 12 and it's gonna go to 8. So that's part of the process. Whack it off. Hopefully it ends there. If it don't, then we might just coil the whole log, because this is so much, there's nothing left there really to cut. Okay, enough talking. Let's get back to work. Okay guys, I don't know if Matthew slowed that out enough where you can see it, but this is why we talk about being careful around these log piles. He was trying to pull these two out that I had marked to get them out of the way and then let the rest of the pile roll down, and the one on top rolled over top of the forks and broke a hose. Ain't the end of the world. I broke a lot worse. We'll go get one Monday, but that's why I always say, guys, you gotta be careful. I'm working up against this face, and I'm real conscious of making sure the logs are stable, and when it comes time to move a log, I'm stepping out of the way, because log like that hit me, you know, and I'm going to the hospital, hopefully not the morgue. But always keep safety in front of your mind. No big deal, it's just a hose. We'll get it fixed. So let's get back to work. Go grab the other tractor. That's why you always keep two. Okay, guys. Whew, that's a job. I'm really surprised that we had that little bit of waste. I was expecting a lot more, so they did a pretty good job. Most of their 16 footers were 16.4, 16.6. It'd been better if it had been 17, but that's what they brought. So they're gonna get them back at 8'1", 8'2", you know, 8'3". That's the best we could do. You can see the hole is empty behind me. We turned one big pile of logs into one. Hard to see Matthew's here, but there's 2, 3. Those two piles are 8 footers. So, whew. Like we talked about earlier, you got to add this in. So Matthew's going to move this out of the way to be a little quieter, so I'll wait till he moves and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, Matthew headed up the hill with the little bit of waste we had. I moved to the other side of the pile. While I was waiting on him, I counted the other side of that 8-foot stack. I counted 56 logs, and there's probably at least this many over here. So there's 115, 112, 120 logs right here, and then there's a bit of 35 over there. So we got our work cut out for us. There's a lot of them here to cut. This spruce is still, it's been down since hurricane. Unfortunately, the hurricane brought it down. Some of them we cut, I can still see sap running out of them. Like this. It's still sappy. So they hadn't dried out much, sitting in that tight packed pile up against they wasn't on the ground, but that's next to the ground up against that bank. Help keep some moisture in them. I would rather keep them a little damp like that in the short term versus keeping them too dry. You get them dry, you get the bugs in them real quick. So just a little tech tip there. If you go to a large sawmill, they water their logs. And they do that because, one, they're easier to saw green and wet. And two, it keeps the pine beetles and the bugs out of them because they're looking for a little bit of a drier environment. They don't want that soaking wet environment that sprinklers give you. And they do that to allow them some extra time, a couple months, to work that material through their inventory. And that's kind of the problem I got right now. I've had several people call me this week. Hey, you need some more pine? I'm like, no, I'm good right now. I'll take it from my regular suppliers, but you know, somebody new, I've just had to tell them no. And the reason being is I'm probably about 3 months ahead on my inventory, and going into hot weather, I don't want to be much further than that. So when we bring in loads, we'll start a bulk. Like what's behind that second pile over there is my oldest white pine, and there's another huge stack up there, and that's my freshest white pine. Then this whole stack that we were working beside is my oldest yellow pine, forest pine, Virginia pine, and then we got a new stack over there that we're putting anything that's coming in fresh, you know, right now. Now, that's being said, I get from a lot of tree guys, a lot of graders and stuff, and if they bring in a log that's visibly old, tree was decaying, died, instead of putting it in the fresh pile, I might put it in the old pile so that it gets sawed sooner. You always got to manage your inventory, especially you get the size that Matthew and I have gotten. We've got a lot of money tied up in logs and inventory, so you got to keep it managed. You got to figure out some system that works for you, whether you paint the ends of them or you put them in places where you know where they're at. Enough about that. I hope that helps you. But let's talk about spruce. We've sawed white spruce before. It's very reminiscent of white pine, other than the knots are not big. You get into white pine, we had some the other day, you know, there's orange size knots. And I got 2 logs over there that we sawed a big job for. The customer had a lot of wood, and I told him, I said, let's just don't even saw these. The knots are big as dinner plates. I said, this is not going to make good siding, interior paneling. It just wasn't even worth it. And they were oversized too. They were 40 inches. We'll save them for something new that's coming down the road. It can probably handle that. Hopefully the time this video comes out it's here. But anyway, white spruce. I love sawing it. It's like a sappy cedar. Saw's about that easy, but it's got sap in it. So we're going to use a fair amount of diesel fuel trying to keep our blade clean as we go through it. As far as cutting and drying, I haven't noticed an appreciable amount of drying. So I think our standard 1 1/16 thick, 4.5, 6.5, and 8.5 will dry and produce a good 3/4 by 4, 6, and 8 inch board. Now, we'll try to get as many 8s as we can, but there's some logs in there that won't make 8s, so they're gonna make 6s and 4s. But we'll make every big log, we'll make as many 8 inch boards as we can get out of it. Anything we need to add to this, Matthew? It goes without saying, guys, you can't buck these logs without a good Matthew to help you out. I took a turn on the chainsaw today. Next time it'll be his turn on the chainsaw, and I'll sit on the tractor. But y'all seen we broke a hose on the little John Deere. It's no big thing. It's a $50 fix. It ain't no big deal. Nobody got hurt. That's the important thing. Guys, just be careful when you're working around these logs. I've got 4 grandchildren that live over the hill here, and Matthew, his is 5th, but he's not, mobile age yet. He's still 5 months old. My grandkids know I will splinter their hide if I catch them on a log. They know it. And I've told it to their mama and their daddy, and they both agree. You're welcome to come down here and see Pop when we're not busy, tractor's not moving around. I catch you on a log, it's going to be a bad day, because these logs are dangerous. They're round and they're unpredictable. I've stacked them up, come back next morning, and they laid out in the yard. So be careful, especially if you got kids around. If you got uneducated adults, please educate them. Do not play around a log pile. I was working deep in that hole, but I've been doing it a long time, and I was still playing a dangerous game, but I know a lot more than somebody that's never been around them, to be careful and pay attention to what's happening, because at least a little shift, you seen that log roll off on a tractor, just like that, and it happened. So I hope you learned something. If nothing else, guys, I hope you got some safety topics out of this. I know some YouTubers that make mistakes on purpose. for making YouTube. We don't do that. Mistakes cost money, and we don't intentionally ever make a mistake. We're a real world, we're running a business, and we're trying to be profitable, trying to be safe, be efficient. So if you see us make a mistake, it was truly a mistake, and we'll try to learn from it and not make it happen again. But I have broke that same hose he just broke, so it happens. Nobody got hurt, so no harm, no foul. Hope you enjoyed watching us run the chainsaw. I'm wore out. I'm ready to go get a bite of lunch. As always, big shout out to Matthew and Solomon doing our videos. Don't forget to check out Solomon's YouTube channel, Third Beard Fishing, as well as if you need a logo done, contact Solomon. He runs a design company with my daughter, 525 Designs, and that's what they specialize in, and lots of other things. Also, Wood Mizer, can't say enough good things about Wood Mizer. Special shout out to Joe Maine, you know, he helps us a lot, and Stacy Thompson, national equipment salesman. Good people to deal with. Joe's contact information be in the description if you need it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.